we'll have a lot to talk about next week because this week is so full. And even though it's a shortened week with the Labor Day holiday on Monday, this is really a full week. Now, everybody's eyes tonight on the debate and tomorrow night with President Obama's speech at the joint session. But also, we have one other thing that's happening, and that is on Thursday. And not a lot of people are talking about that. And that is on Thursday in Minnesota. We're going to hear again from Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke. He's going to get his opportunity to do something maybe that he didn't do. And I think it was by design at Jackson Hole not to come out and lay out all of his cards. So, it's kind of like giving a preview, right? You show a preview in a movie of something that's coming. You don't want to show the whole story. You don't want to show the whole plot because you give it away. Then there's not that anticipation. And so it looks like that the Keynesians, from Obama to even Bernanke, are all saying, we'll tease you a little bit. We're gonna kind of hold it close to the vest and maybe let a little bit out here and there. Well, we may hear more from Ben Bernanke on Thursday about this little twist program that he's got going, and that, of course, is maybe the last arrow in the quiver. Now, that particular little thing is selling short-term paper and buying long-term paper. We talked about that yesterday, and it would be kind of a supporting supporting the 10-year treasuries and the 30-year treasuries. What would be the equivalent of up to about 90% of what's called QE2. So when we take a look at this, the question becomes, well, will it work? I mean, will it? And what means work? What's success is, will there be jobs? Okay? Will there be jobs? And the problem is that the actions of the Federal Reserve are almost a one-off, because you can, as the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him play the violin. The Federal Reserve can create liquidity. It can create all this capital that's out there. But the question will be, will it get into the system? Will it get into the businesses? Will it get to the point where people and entities, businesses corporations feel so secure, and their business is generating again? That's the big caveat. If their business is generating, if they're selling something, then will they go on to hire? Well, the Keynesian model says, yes, that's the way it will work, okay? If we force feed more credit into the system, then it will ultimately create spending. People will go into debt more. If they go into debt more, they're buying things. If they're buying things, there has to be production. You know how it works. If there's production, there has to be employment. Employment's new salaries, new income, new sales, and circle, 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 circle. The problem with this is that this has been tried before, okay? And this was tried back in 1961. Now, what's interesting is there's this guy by the name of Vincent Reinhart. He's the former director of the Fed's Division of Monetary Affairs. He is now a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. And so he made a study. He co-authored a study back on quite a while ago. But he co-authored the study because this is nothing new, of buying longer-dated bonds and selling shorter-dated securities. This was done back in 1961. How did it work? It didn't. Was it successful? It wasn't. And this came out of a study that he co-authored with none other than Ben Bernanke. Now, if you ask Reinhart, if you ask Bernanke, they will tell you exactly like Bernanke said about the 30s. Why didn't the actions of the Federal Reserve work in the 30s? Because they didn't do enough of it. And Bernanke and Reinhart, and even another co-author who is Brian Sack, who is the New York Fed's point man on the markets, okay? They will all tell you, well, we just didn't do enough of it. You hear from Paul Krugman, our stimulus program wasn't enough. We didn't do enough. We got to do more. We got to go deeper into debt. But that, of course, is the Keynesian philosophy, that if you're digging a hole and you get yourself into the hole, the only way to get out is to dig deeper, okay, to dig deeper. And so this more than likely is what's going to be proposed. The markets are looking at it. They're thinking about it. They're anticipating that. But today, with the stock market doing what it did with that dead cat bounce, what did we see in the 10-year note? 10-year note got back up above 2. Was up about 7 ticks to close at 2.05. 2-year Treasury stayed flat at 0.21, however. And so when we look at the actions, the Federal Reserve on QE3, which is coming, okay, is starting to get down to not really a whole lot left. But again, if you take a look at the actions of what they have done over the last year, year and a quarter, has it made the stock market move higher? Yes, it has. There's been no doubt about that. Has it moved until it didn't? Has it made commodity prices move higher? Yes, it has. Has it made problems in the world? Absolutely. Has it helped us here in the United States? Well, it depends upon what you're looking at. If you're looking at housing prices, no, it hasn't. And that was one of the things that the Federal Reserve a year ago that he said coming out of Jackson Hole, that the goal was to keep interest rates low and long-term, that is, and to keep house prices from falling any further and taking them higher. How has that worked out for you, Ben? It didn't. And so when we take a look at QE2, the success of QE2, the Keynesians will say, well, we just need QE3, we need QE4, we need QE5, when in reality, you take a look at the performance, and the performance has done absolutely abominable. Abominable. Not Obama, but abominable. Now, we got the beige book out today, and usually the beige book comes out with, stirring. Everybody's looking at the beige book and like that. Came out, was a yawner. Why was it a yawner? Now, this is the report that comes out from the various federal districts around the country, okay? And it comes out on a monthly basis, and it gives you what's going on in the economy. It's a pretty good report. It's fairly accurate, okay? They kind of embellish it a little bit, especially when things are going bad. But in this instance, what did we see? Growth was slower in some regions in July and August. Several districts reported recent stock market volatility. Increased economic uncertainty triggered downgraded and near-term outlooks. Consumer spending up slightly in most districts. Non-auto retail sales flat or down in several. That's non-auto. So yes, consumer spending was up, but only in auto. Manufacturing obviously mixed across the country, and when we've seen the Philly Fed and we saw the Atlanta and we saw Dallas, etc., we know it's not mixed, it's disastrous. Obviously, it says pace slowing in many districts. How about residential real estate? Remained weak. Wage pressures, minimal. There's no wage pressures. There's 4 or 5 people for every one job. Price pressures edged lower. Loan quality, people borrowing generally improving a little bit. Yeah, they're now not only breathing, but they can walk. And, I like this one. Tourism is solid in most areas. Yep, tourism solid in most areas. Well, when we take a look at this, it was a yawner, but the market didn't move on that.